Women's college basketball is big time, and it's growing. From TV ratings being up to sold out arenas, women's basketball, especially on the college level, is now on the biggest of stages. And understandably, with that increased visibility comes more ways to see the players that we enjoy, and also more opportunities for companies to make some money. And that leads me to the Women's College All-Star Game that just released their watch list for players and announced a date and time for the game. Now, if you're wondering, what? I never heard of a Women's All-Star college game before. Well, don't worry about it. There's a lot of people who don't know that much about it. So in this video, I'm going to let you all know everything you all need to know about this All-Star game. So we first start with a little bit of a history lesson. So Intersport, which is a Chicago-based sports agency, originally launched the Women's Basketball Coaches Association All-Star Challenge in 1998. That sort of All-Star Challenge game usually took place around the Final Four, and it lasted a couple of years through 2006. The All-Star Challenge was an opportunity to showcase the top 20 senior collegiate players in women's basketball. And, this featured the top 20 players who were not actually playing in the women's Final Four. So of the teams that didn't make it, the top seniors were able to participate in the All-Star Challenge. It showcased 17 of the top D1 players, and that was voted on by D1 WBCA member head coaches. And for the 3 remaining players, they were selected from Division II, Division III, and NAIA levels. So 1 player from each level. Now, the challenge itself featured some of the biggest names in women's college basketball and also just women's basketball, period. You probably will remember some of these names as I sort of called them out. So from Diana Taurasi to Alana Beard to Cheryl Ford to Marie Ferdinand. Shout out to Marie Ferdinand. She was an awesome WNBA player. Shamika Holdsqua, Tisha Pinachero, Simone Augustus, Candice Dupree, Cappie Pondexter, Sophia Young, and others. Lots of players participated in this All-Star Challenge. Now, as I said, in 2006, the All-Star Challenge went away, and now the All-Star Game is coming back. Intersport announced this news in October of 2023. They announced that the All-Star Game was coming back and it would relaunch during the 2024 Final Four weekend. Now, why is it coming back? Well, because according to Intersport CEO Charlie Besser, he says that fans have shown a strong and growing interest in women's sports, demonstrated most recently through attendance at major events and in television viewership. Reviving the Women's College All-Star Game, which we founded in 1998, is a meaningful experience for these great players, and also a unique opportunity for college basketball fans to see the best all in one place. All right, so that's the news, guys. Let's get into some of the specifics about this 2024 Women's College All-Star Game. So the game itself will be held on April the 6th at 2:30 Central Time at the Wolfstein Center in downtown Cleveland. Tickets are currently on sale right now, and you can buy those tickets at womenscollegeallstar.com. And if you cannot make the game in person, you can actually watch the game on TV. It will be on ESPN2. As a reminder, the NCAA Final Four takes place April the 5th, and the championship game takes place on April the 7th. Now, these games will be played at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, Ohio, which is just up the road from the Wolfstein Center. So you can look forward to 3 straight games of great women's basketball from the Final Four, and then this All-Star game, and then the championship game. And then, wait a couple of days later, then you have the WNBA draft. So exciting time for women's basketball all around. So we got the when and where figured out, but the question is now, who's going to participate in this All-Star game? Well, let's get into it. So the game will feature college seniors who will not return to college ball next season. There was a watch list of players that was created by a panel of national media members and former coaches. The watch list features 50 players representing 43 different schools and 11 conferences. So here is the list of players on the watch list. From the ACC, we have Georgia Amore with Virginia Tech, Olivia Cochran with Louisville, Deasia Fair with Syracuse, Kiki Jefferson with Louisville, Deja Kelly with North Carolina, Latu King with Pitt, Elizabeth Kitley with Virginia Tech, Amari Robinson with Clemson, Alyssa Utsby with North Carolina, and Maddie Westbell from Notre Dame. Coming from the Big 12, we have Sarah Andrews with Baylor, Asia Blackwell with Baylor, Dre Edwards with Baylor, Lauren Gustin with BYU, Tatiana Jackson with Kansas, Taylor Jones with Texas, Ayoka Lee with Kansas State, Sedona Prince with TCU, and Skylar Vaughn with Oklahoma. From the Big East, we have Azana Baines from Seton Hall, Unique Drake with St. John's, Aaliyah Edwards with UConn, Lauren Jensen with Creighton, Liza Carlin with Marquette, Jordan King with Marquette, Nika Mule with UConn, and Emma Ronsick with Creighton. Coming from the Big Ten, we have Caitlin Clark with Iowa, Mackenzie Holmes with Indiana, McKenna Marcia with Penn State, Sarah Scalia with Indiana, J.C. Sheldon with Ohio State, Jazz Shelley with Nebraska. With the Ivy League, we have two players, Caitlin Chen with Princeton and Abby Shu from Columbia. From the MAC conference, we have Kenesha Lockett from Toledo and Sophia Wizard from Toledo as well. From the Mountain West conference, we have two players, McKenna Holzchild with Colorado State and Desi Ray Young with UNLV. From the Pac-12, we have Cameron Brink with Stanford, Mackenzie Forbes with USC, Hannah Jump with Stanford, Charisma Osborne with UCLA, Alyssa Peely with Utah, and Jalen Sherrod with Colorado. For the SEC, we have a boatload of players, Camila Cardoso with South Carolina, Jessica Carter with Mississippi State, Leilani Correa with Florida, Rakia Jackson with Tennessee, Jerkayla Jordan with Mississippi State, Tahina Powell with South Carolina, Ajay Petty with Kentucky, Angel Reese with LSU, Maddie Scher with Kentucky, Honesty Scott Grayson with Auburn, Haley Van Lith with LSU. And in the Sun Belt Conference, we have Abby Beeman with Marshall. And in the SWAC, we have Zay Green with Arkansas Pine Bluff. All right, so those are the list of players currently on the watch list. Now, just because a player isn't on this list does not mean they can't be on the final 20-player roster for the All-Star game. Players can play their way into a final team, a roster spot in the coming weeks. So this list could change. Another thing to note is that selected players that are appearing on this watch list, some of them may return for another season in women's college basketball. So just because someone's on this list does not mean that they will not return next season. It's just that the committee that was voting on the players to make the watch list, they weren't aware of, what players, if the players on this list, if they're returning or not. Some of these players may be returning, and when they do, they will be dropped off of the list. There are some players that we do know about currently who will be returning next season for women's college basketball, most notably Paige Beckers, and that is why she is not on this list. So there are some players who may return next season for because of that COVID year. But yeah, so once they declare that they will return, then they'll be dropped off this list. All right, so one thing to note is that we do not have a finalized date yet on when we will have a 20-player roster all set to go. I anticipate that roster will be finalized with a couple days before the All-Star game actually happens, and that's because I think it actually depends on how far teams make it in the tournament, and also it depends on how much of a player's draft spot is locked for the WNBA. So, for example, I can't imagine that players like a Caitlin Clark, a Cameron Brink, a Rickea Jackson, I can't imagine those players will be playing in this All-Star game because their draft placement is probably pretty solidified by now. As I see this game, yes, as an opportunity to celebrate some of the best players in the country, best senior players in the country. I primarily think of this as an opportunity for WNBA sort of bubble players to show their stuff just days before the draft. Players who are sort of like late first round draft picks, or players who are likely going to be drafted in the second round, if not even fully passed up. I think this is an opportunity for them to be able to show their stuff and be possibly get picked higher, or at least have a better chance of showing their stuff and possibly making a actual WNBA roster. So I think this is really an opportunity for the late first round, second round players, not necessarily lottery picks. I don't think the lottery pick players will be participating in this, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. That is the video, guys. That's the story. Let me know in the comments what you all think about the All-Star game itself. Do you all plan on watching it either in person in Cleveland or watching it on ESPN2? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And also, if you have not hit that like button, please hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button as well. We are on our road to 10,000 subscribers. So if you want to help me do that, please hit that subscribe button and join the awesome people of the internet. All right, guys, that is the video. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.